What's up, everyone? Welcome to Level 7. Happy New Year. Bringing it into 2025 with an all-new podcast talking about some Skeleton Crew. My name is TJ Zwarich, joined, as always, by my co-host and good buddy, Damon Gray. Damon, how you doing today? How was your New Year's Eve?
Oh, it was great of doing not much. Although we had some... What was that?
The pizza you sent me looked good.
Pizza in Connecticut is always good, at least in the New Haven area. You know, once when you start traversing outside of it, it's a little hit or miss. But oh yeah, got to celebrate some pizza. The skies opened up because, you know, the world can never be normal. And we had like the first thunderstorm I ever experienced on New Year's Eve, like severe thunderstorm, crazy weather. So what an omen to start the new year off.
Classic Americans and people near New York thinking that it's an omen just because something's happening where you are, where the rest of the world, we're just chilling. Helping us break down the show today as well, we're bringing in our friend, the Star Wars expert, co-host the Reckless Rebellion podcast, Thomas Carter Rochester.
Hello there. I'm back with a vengeance. Not really. Back with a big freaking heart, loving this show.
How was your New Year's Eve?
It was pretty good. I won't lie. I'm feeling my old age and the 5 gray hairs that I've got in my beard because it was. I mean, granted, I got up at 4:30 to go to work, but all of a sudden I'm just like, I don't know if I want to go to this party tonight. And they're like, what do you mean? We do this every year, and I'm like, guys, I was up at 4:30. Like, take a nap. I'm like, I don't nap. So I watched Skeleton Crew, and because of Skeleton Crew, I was like, I'm so alive and energized. So I went to the party, and I get there, and I sit down and go, crap, I'm really tired. So we celebrated the Eastern New Year, and then I left and came home because we're Central Time, and then I'm like laying in bed, and it hits midnight. I'm like, woo, Happy New Year. Glad I'm already in bed under this weighty blankie right now.
I was in bed by the time the clock struck 12 as well. I was still awake, but was in bed for it. I had a nice little evening with some friends, and then turned in pretty early. But overall, a good year of 2024, and we have some big stuff coming in 2025. What a year for comic book content. On the movie side of things, we have Captain America, Brave New World. We have Thunderbolts with a little asterisk. We have Superman. We have Fantastic Four. On the TV side of things, it's going to be incredible. We're only 4 weeks away from your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man on Disney+. We got Daredevil Born Again, by far the most anticipated comic book show this year, coming in March. We got great stuff coming. We're going to be covering it all here with the Agents of Fandom. So make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our shows. This is a Wednesday as we record this. We will be live tomorrow on Thursday with Metalcore Nerds and the return of Fat Thor. TJ Pastilli coming back to join us as well, talking about Creature Commandos episode 6 or 7. Where are we on that one, David?
I'm an episode behind, so when
I don't think it's I think it's probably episode 6.
Yeah, when I watch that one, I'm going to be catching up.
Looking forward to diving into Creature Commandos for that one. And shout out to Ryan in chat. He brings up a great point. Non-comic book, but we're talking Star Wars and Andor season 2 also coming in 2025. And that's what we have in the title right now. Like, is this the best Star Wars show since Andor season 1? Thomas, I'll throw it to you. Just like straight from not necessarily your favorite, but just like overall quality. Is this the best Star Wars thing we've gotten since Andor?
I think yes. It is the opposite end of the emotional spectrum from Andor, but it's doing the very same thing Andor did, which is, you know what this universe is. You know the rules, you know the boundaries, you know what works and what doesn't work. So we're going to give you something that you didn't know you needed inside this universe, and that is a story about pirates. And pirates always have tall tales. Andor was a story about spies, and that show is very much a spy show, which is just, I love a good spy thriller, and this is just good, wholesome fun. They're doing the same thing, but in different ways in the universe, and I think this show, just like Andor, is getting better and better and better week by week. And even some of my favorite shows like Ahsoka and Acolyte, that's right, I like the Acolyte. Suck it.
Heck yeah.
They do not get better with every episode. They have a roller coaster energy, and everybody knows I love a roller coaster. I've only ridden every single one but one in the Central Florida area this last like 3 months. But in terms of content, entertainment, movies, film, TV, etc., I prefer a slow increase of quality, and Skeleton Crew is doing that. I mean, spoiler alert, this episode might be my favorite of the season, and it is not for the reasons that would normally be one of my favorite episodes.
Damon, what do you think? Is Skeleton Crew the best thing we've gotten since Andor season 1?
For me, no. I still am very partial to Ahsoka, and I think
that's the same with me, right? Nothing will ever
Yeah.
be better for me than Ahsoka.
Yeah, and I think that's the bias that both of us have with that show in particular, but it's still a really fun time. And like TCR just mentioned, like it's kind of doing a little something that Marvel, whenever they do something really well, it shines, and it's having like, that universe, but whenever you start diving into something where it's like, oh, this is the spy thriller, oh, this is like the pirate show, right? You take that world and then you kind of put it within a genre, because Star Wars isn't a genre, it's the worlds, it's a story format, and then you can kind of throw the genre in there to fit it. And I think this one is just super fun because I can't believe it really hasn't been done to this level before, because pirates and Star Wars just makes sense. And we've seen it with like some bounty stuff, when the Clone Wars episodes as well and Rebels episodes, but not to this extent. And woo, it's cute, man. It's a super cute show.
Shout out to Aviaki in chat. Cheers from Plano, Texas. New to your channel. Well, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's dive into a quick edition of Watcha Watchin before we talk about this episode of Star Wars Skeleton Crew. Watcha Watchin, we like to talk about what are we doing in our own time. We do this for work, but whether it's playing a video game, watching a TV show, watching movies, reading a comic book, reading a book, what are you watching, playing, reading in your own time right now, Damon?
Yes, Marvel Rivals. We know we've been playing it a lot. And because of that,
I made it up to gold tier 1. We got to play today as a team so that we can get the support going and carry me to whatever is above gold. Because I don't know, is it platinum? Is it diamond? I don't know. But gold, I'm at gold tier 1, so we got to get up to the next one.
So because of that, and I've been maining Cloak and Dagger, I was like, I'm gonna go back and watch the Cloak and Dagger show from Freeform from 2018, and that show's a little all over the place, but in a fun way. There's one episode of there in particular, I think it's episode 7, and they're like going into the rig where everything kept exploding, and it's one of those episodes where everything just goes, it's a time loop type of thing, and you keep seeing the same thing again and again and again and again and again because you're trying to like dig deeper into this guy's mind. And that episode in particular is fantastic. I loved that episode. The first season, it's fun. You've mentioned before, it's a teen drama type of vibe, but it's still pretty well done. There's some things, like I mentioned before, they really went out of their way into doing some interesting things with Tandy's character.
Yeah,
they made her a terrible person.
It's a fun show, though. I couldn't agree more. Cloak and Dagger is one of those ones that gets forgotten alongside like Runaways, that you kind of forget that exists out there because it wasn't marketed in quite in the same way from a Marvel television standpoint.
You know what they could do? I mean, like, when Secret Wars comes around, I often say sure. I'm gonna put Jeff down. I often say sure when a character comes up. Like, I'd like to see them pop up. Like they're like been close enough. They've essentially canonized themselves into the Defenders verse, and since we've already canonized that, just bring the Runaways in there too. Bring Cloak and Dagger in there too. Let's have some more fun with it. New York is a beast of its own. And I know they're not in New York in this show. They're actually in New Orleans. But hey, maybe next time we see Sam Wilson rolling around Louisiana, who knows?
You could put her in there with some kind of Midnight Suns style team. You could put him in there with a Magic style team. Have them meet Doctor Strange and get the same dialogue going as Marvel Rivals. Get the stars out of your eyes, Tandy Bowen. TCR, what have you been watching?
Football. For sure, a lot of football, a lot of going on. Fantasy just ended. My entire life is now empty, void of any kind of mathematical excitements, which is lame. No, but I watched that. What If? I watched all of What If pretty much on Sunday or Saturday. Interesting. Season 3. Anything related to Party Thor episode is obviously my favorite. We love it. But then I saw Sonic 3 this weekend and very much enjoyed that movie. It's made for kids, and you bet your sweet butt that I am a very bearded child. I had a lot of fun, and my girlfriend also enjoyed it. And she had just watched all the other Sonics, and she's like, "This might be my favorite one." I was like, "Really? I don't know about that for me." I was like, "But I had a lot of fun." Some of the music drops are fantastic. The action is great. The visuals are spectacular. I'm trying to think. I think that's basically it. That's all I've really watched in the last 2 weeks, other than anything related to Star Wars, which is just a casual Tuesday.
This was my favorite one by far, and I think it's mainly because it's built around my favorite Sonic game of all time, Sonic Adventure 2, getting the I won't spoil for those who haven't seen it yet, but so many Easter eggs and references to that game that made it pretty special for me. And you can find our full review of Sonic 3 up on the Agents of Fandom YouTube page, as well as wherever you get your podcasts. Myself, Adam Blevins, Ryan Cortero, and Klein Felt, TCR's Reckless Rebellion co-host as well. So check out our Sonic 3 review. We're also have full coverage of What If Season 3. We also have been talking a lot about Marvel Rivals on this show, and we just had an interview with Jeff the Landshark himself, John Bailey, up on the Agents of Fandom YouTube page and wherever you get your pods. So make sure you check it out as well. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, click that like button. All you got to do is take your mouse, slide it over, give it a little click. If you're watching on your phone, I press hide chat. It's 2 steps. I apologize. It's tough. We're all tired. It's 2 steps. But it helps us out so much. Help us battle that YouTube algorithm. I've been watching Severance season 1 with season 2 starting to come out. I've known this show is incredible. People have been talking it up for years. You'll be able to find our coverage of Severance season 2 when it comes up on agentsofandom.com by our own Adam Blevins. I'm only 2 episodes in, but this show is crazy. I did not know the premise even a little bit. I didn't know what I was getting into. I thought it was more like businessy kind of show, and oh my gosh, it's crazy. It's creepy. It's not what I thought it was, but it is very, very interesting so far. Looking forward to diving into the rest of season 1. But we're not here to talk about Severance. We're not here to talk about Marvel Rivals as much as it's invading our lives right now. We're here to talk about Skeleton Crew, and we are 6 episodes into this series now. Only 2 episodes remaining in what is hopefully just a season 1. It's been a great show so far. My biggest qualm is my only consistent qualm through everything Disney Plus related, and that's I want more of it. 8 30-minute episodes is not enough. You need to be, if you're only doing 8 or 9, they need to be an hour long. If you're doing 30 minutes, they need to be at least 13 episodes, hopefully 20 plus, because this episode was so fun. And it still just had the hankering feeling in the back of my head, like, oh, we're so close to the finale, though. I kind of want more plot-heavy stuff of what's going on. I want to advance the story because there's only 2 left. But I was able to push that down. I was able to push that little lingering feeling in the back of my head down and just truly enjoy this great character development episode. Wonderful, wonderful character development episode. And these kids are just doing such a good job. The overall writing by John Watts and the whole team are so good. Bryce Dallas Howard did an incredible job of directing this episode. She crutches it every single time she steps into the director's chair for Star Wars. give this woman a Star Wars movie to direct, please, because she does such a good job every single time. TCR, you said this is one of your favorites, maybe your favorite of the series. What do you think of episode 6?
It is. I find that when we hit a dark night of the soul in some of these Disney Plus shows, it feels very much like a filler because we have to do the character growth, but we don't progress the plot at all. In this, when it got to a certain point, I was like, okay, this is we're going to do some character stuff, but what we do move with the plot, I think, is just enough to set us up for the final sequence of what we're going to get in the final 2 episodes. But what we get with the character stuff is so damn good. That, I mean, we have major growth with Fern finally. Wim, I wouldn't say growth with KB, but it's our growth with KB, because KB knows who she is. Like, she's the only one who's like, I know who I am. I'm confident in who I am, except for when it comes to telling my best friend I can't do something, which is like
KB still had some serious growth. Like I was gonna say, we'll get to it, but KB accomplished what some people take years of therapy to figure out, and that's how to ask for help.
Exactly. And I think that's, it doesn't, maybe it's because I've had years of therapy and now can ask for help mediocrely easy. But yeah, no, it's again our growth with her, because we didn't know she had that issue until this episode. So now it's more of us learning about that and then going on this quick journey with her. Whereas Wim, his growth has been the same thing. He trusts the wrong people. Fern, stubborn as hell. Very Han Solo. Needs a slap in the face. She kind of gets that twice. And then Neel, our Lord and Savior, he's just the cutest. He's got maybe one of the best lines in the series or the episode, which is, we're getting really good at falling. And this growth with these characters, plus what we get in the 2 scenes with Jod Na Nawood / Dash Rendar wannabe / Steve the Pirate, really sets up the two plot lines going forward into those final 2 episodes. And it went from feeling like a filler to being a statement episode. And then it ended and I was like, oh, that's right. It's the Bryce Dallas Howard episode. That's why it feels the way it is. And I think that might be why it is my favorite, because almost every single one of her episodes stands out so uniquely, and her imprint on it is always heart. And it is the heart of Star Wars that she just seems to understand the most. And I'm still not convinced fully 100% that I can say it is my favorite, but I just rewatched it, finished it like 30 minutes ago, and I'm like, yeah, this is making me feel way too much stuff. Even on a rewatch that I already felt, and that's a pretty good sign.
Damon, general thoughts. What's your reaction to Skeleton Crew episode 6?
I liked it. I don't think it's my favorite one. I think it's because with this particular show, I enjoy the lighter episodes, the more fun, feel-free episodes, because that's kind of like when you're being nostalgic as a kid. You remember that. You don't remember you try not to remember the sad, hard times or the times that you have to overcome. But this is also, like TCR just mentioned, it's a very important episode for pretty much the entire crew, including Jod, who I have a little theory on, just because that's what I do. But I really like the KB stuff, specifically in this episode. I didn't expect them to go a certain way with her, and I like that they did, because it kind of, like TCR mentioned, it gave Fern like the hit in the face that she needed, not just once but twice. And then you really get to see them all kind of get back together in the end, and I really enjoyed that. And it shows that, like, when you need to have growth, you need to knock everyone back down again, quite literally, into a trash pit before you see him go back up. And I enjoyed that in the end. Solid episode.
Diving into the specifics of the character interactions, we dive into 2 teams essentially for this episode, and it's not the usual KB and Fern and Wim and Neel. It's Wim and KB and Fern and Neel. And it's so fun to ask to see Wim and KB's dynamic together. That was my favorite, just because KB is this super intelligent, very practical type of person. And Wim is the opposite. Not that he's not smart, but he's full of wonder, whereas KB is full of practicality. And he's just so pure. Him and
He's full of
Neel just have
whims,
this
if you will.
purity to them of the world is full of hope and everything is going to be okay. And everything is so simple. KB is struggling with this internal battle of, I want to be cool in front of my friend and I want my friend to like me because she is my only friend, but I can't keep up to the type of things that she's doing. I'm different. I'm not the same as her, and I don't know how to talk to her about that because I'm scared she's not going to listen, and I don't want to lose my only friend. And she's torn up about that. She's in her own head. We've all had these moments where we're overthinking something to the fullest, and it has a simple little answer. If we just brought it up, if we just talk about it, it would be the easiest thing to squash. We get in our own heads about it, and it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. And Wim's sitting there like, why don't you just tell her? Like, isn't she your best friend? Why don't you just tell your best friend what's going on? And it's like, damn, yeah, I guess it's that easy, but it doesn't feel that easy. And that's kind of what I felt about KB in this episode, is like, she really grows to the point of like, that's something that takes years of therapy for some people, you know, when they're feeling inadequate and they don't feel good enough. They're scared of not being accepted. Coming to that conclusion to love yourself and to know my if this person cares about me, they'll accept me for who I am. I can be honest with them. That's a tough thing to get to. And so shout out to KB for working their way through that. And it felt natural. It didn't feel forced. What did you think of the dynamic between KB and Wim TCR and the, mini falling out between Fern and KB that led to it?
Yeah, that little mini falling out is where I was like, oh, we're doing something different with this episode. I'm excited to see where we go, because it was at that moment where I realized, oh, this is the KB episode. Like, she's standing up to her best friend. She doesn't agree with her. She's not just rolling with her. This is going to create some nice conflict, and that conflict is going to lead to some growth. But it sounds like we're just going to focus on her. And in a way, we really did. I would consider her the main character of this episode. And so when she's with Wim, when she's with the whimsy that is Wim, as opposed to the rootedness that is Fern, that's right, I made a plant reference. She is more open and a little bit more vulnerable, because Wim's like, well, I don't really care. Like, yeah, woo, wee-hoo. Like, you can tell why him and Neel are best friends. And the dynamic is just like, he's like, tra la 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 la, and she's afraid to open up, because again, she's going to lose that one friend. And as soon as we get to the point, and it's like, is that why you didn't want to tell her? You were afraid you would freeze up? And she's like, yeah, she doesn't think I'm different. And I love that she doesn't think I'm different. And he's like, well, that doesn't sound so bad, but I am different. And it's hard to tell her that I can't do the same thing she does. And he goes, and I don't want to lose my friend. Well, that's stupid. Me and Neel would just be your friend. And it's just like, that is the wholesome Wim. Like, that's the wholesomeness of his character. That has a positive side. That's the positive side of his wholesome naivete. And so when he actually saves her life, there's that sequence and a later sequence where I'm genuinely like, I find myself stressing out while watching. I wonder what my heart monitor was looking at. Because I'm like, oh my God, like, I now am caring about this character on a different level. She had some sort of accident, and we must protect this child at all costs. And then Wim saves her life, and she just immediately goes from, like, great acting, by the way, from the actress, from like sluggish, slow, I'm a robot losing my power, to, all right, we're good. Hi. Yeah, cool. But she's like, I bet you thought saving someone's life would be a little bit more, like, would be different. But thank you, Jedi. And it's just like back-to-back like hits for both people. It's like, you can be my friend. Okay, you're a Jedi. Thank you. And I feel like that was where we hit the uptick from the low, the Dark Night of the Soul. It was kind of at that moment that we started switching back to, like, we can do this through the power of friendship. And I think that's a beautiful lesson from this episode. And this sequence with Wim and KB alone is like, together we can do anything. And that is something that I haven't felt in Star Wars in a while. Maybe since Andor, actually. In a different way, though.
Damon, what did you think about the interactions between the two of them? One of the parts that I thought was so interesting about this episode wasn't even the first part where the second part where Wim is saving KB's life. It was when Fern was helping her out at the beginning. And it reminded me of, like, I don't know if any of you ever, like, growing up in elementary school had somebody in your class have a seizure or faint or go through an allergic reaction and they need the EpiPen. But that's kind of what it reminded me of, where all the kids in the class are like, this is terrifying. I don't know what's going on. Like, this is the scariest thing I've ever seen. And then the person who knows what's going on, sometimes other kids, sometimes teachers, whatever it is, they're like, oh yeah, this happened last Thursday. Hey, where's your pen? Right there. Okay, cool. But we're fine. She's going to be okay. This is my best friend. I know how to handle this. Like, it's just something it felt so familiar of like, oh no, this is so scary. And then other people are like, no, that's my best friend. I got her. And that's like, you can tell that's how Fern feels inside for KB. She's just not the best communicator. And so you understand the feelings that kind of led up to this moment for them.
Yeah, I mean, that and also Fern in this show is a little headstrong. I mean, like TCR mentioned, and I'm going to repeat a lot of the stuff. Like, she's really in her roots on things. Like, she took Neel to climb this mountain cliff thing when she knew and was already told that it probably wouldn't be the best idea because Neel can't really do that. But she did it anyway. So even though that, like, she's like, oh, yeah, this is my friend. This has happened before, that type of aspect to it. She still needs a little bit of a reality check every now and then. And she needed 2 of them just in this episode alone. So I'm glad that we got to that point with her. I'm surprised that they actually went really heavily with, like, the disabled person route with KB. And I thought that was very interesting. Just in that as a whole, because like TCR mentioned, I really enjoyed it. It's solid and it's wholesome. I'm really just repeating everything TCR said at this point. It's just I enjoyed it. It's good.
What about the Neel and Fern dynamic? Because Damon, you talked about a little bit. She needed the double reality check, and it's so you see the natural human reactions from these things where it's like somebody calls you out. Typically, when somebody calls you out, it takes a person who has really gotten their ego in check to listen to the words that are being said and not lash back out, not turn it into a fight. Somebody calls you out, the first typical human reaction is saying, oh, well, screw you. No, you did this. I might have done that, but you did that first. That's especially for kids. That's the first type of reaction. And that is her first reaction, right? She leaves. She goes with Neel. Neel, you're coming with me. But the second time with Neel, she realizes she's done the exact damn same thing. He can't climb. He calls her out for it because he doesn't have those same traumas that KB has. The type of relationship with Wim where he can just be honest. And so she calls her out, realized she did the exact same thing to Neel as she did to KB. And then she has that epiphany. She helps him out and she has that personal character growth. What do you think, TCR?
Yeah, the Fern Neel of it all was, I felt because of Neel, I think brings out the best in everyone. As we saw in his episode with the Daniels, she heard what KB said, kind of brushed it off, gets hurt that she chooses Wim. So now she's in this vulnerable state. And of course, our Lord and Savior, little Neel, is going to make everyone feel a little bit better in some way. But he's like, I can't do this. I don't have long spider limbs like you. Very straightforward, very serious things that anybody might say. And her response is like, okay, you're right. That's actually fair. And I want to do this. And I know I need to help you do this. She sees a rope. And despite the engineering mind going, that rope's not tight enough, but whatever. It's like, okay, cool. If he falls, she's got the grip. She can hold on and get him back hooked up, as well as as she goes up, it helps pull him so that he can reach there. And it's just brilliant work. And I feel like it's the first time that we get to see her become a leader, like from a point of I have to help others and not I'm leading because I want to be this. I think I know what's best, blah, blah, blah. It's genuine leadership where I'm going to sacrifice my ease of climbing to help the people below me. And I thought that was really awesome character growth. And they really only did it with like 2 scenes. And it made sense and it worked because we've seen her break down. I don't know what to do. I don't know this. I don't have an idea of what to do next. And now we see the other way around. And it's like interesting, like really nice to see. There's a cat there. We love it. And I'm intrigued to see where it goes, especially after, well, we'll get to the end, of course, but like that really piqued my interest as to where we're going to go with these characters.
Damon, how about you?
Yeah. I mean, look, I really don't have too much more to add onto this because TCR is so well spoken onto it. I'm more interested at this point. Right? What was that?
Yeah. I can't repeat it because we only get one. We get one F-bomb without losing one.
I know.
So I can't repeat it.
For me, the thing that like I'm most interested in this show is like when they finally get to Atten and Jod's real intentions when he gets there. That's like the thing that I'm most interested in at this point.
Well, lead us off then with the Jod conversation because, man, I like to work on my day-to-day life about being present, being grateful. And so these pirates piss me the hell off where it's like, guys, just go down this tunnel and there's more money you've ever made in your life down there. Just forget this dude. Just like go get all of it. And they're just so dumb. They always want more. And so they never make away with anything that they have because they're always chasing the next thing. And so it's always the next big score. And it'll never be the last one. But Damon, lead us off. What did you think about Jod's story in this episode? And specifically, why does he just accept capture? Is it because he knows he needs a crew? Because dude's got a lightsaber now. He's force sensitive. Why is he just letting these pirates take him over?
Dude, from the second that this show started, and he instantly called like essentially an Agni Kai. Right, like the Avatar version of an Agni Kai. And he's like, I'm claiming captaincy of this. He immediately knew that there's something in my mind. I'm kind of like reading him like he knows there's something that these kids probably don't know or cannot anticipate that only he can possibly prevent. I don't think he is that bad of a guy at this point to where he will actually screw over these kids. I think he's actually I think he's actually trying to protect them in a way. I really do. I truly think so. But he's just doing it in a really piratey way.
What do you think, GCR?
Yeah.
I think maybe he might turn at the end and be like, screw it, I'll save the kids instead of my crew and the treasure. But I think to this point, he has turned.
Yeah, he's kind of turned on the kids, but he did it in a way. I mean, he could have done worse. He could have killed her like instantly. If he wanted to, he'd have done it. Period. That's my belief. And so he takes the capture because really it's because SM-33 cannot fight a pirate to save his life. Truly. It's happened twice now. Bam, bam. I loved it's like attack. I'm like, yeah, I get zapped. And I go, well, there goes my excitement. For the moment, he gets taken out immediately. So he's like, well, that's unfortunate. Let me try to talk my way out of this. Well, that's unfortunate. Okay. And he just has
force push them, whip out the saber and hop on a ship.
Slice and dice, baby. They only need one eye. So if you take the other eye, they have no eyes. I mean, they can't fight back. I think that he gets captured because he's just like, what more can I do at this point? And he's also got a couple, Sabak cards up his sleeve with, I know where Atten is. I know the coordinates. Me and the robot are the only way you can get there. And he's so charismatic that, you know, in his trial scene, he's so charismatic that it does not just like, well, I did this, well, I did that. It's like, no, I'm hungry. Are you hungry? I know what you want. I know what you want. Just imagine if you could do that instantaneously with these credits. And then they do the pirate shanty, which is always neat. I mean, his motivation is obviously selfish. It's, I want money. I want to not have to worry about this. And I think he just wants to not be a pirate anymore. Because it sounds like he may be like, okay, if I get enough money where I don't have to starve, I'll be content. Whether that's true or not, who the hell knows? But
it's not true, because otherwise he would have just taken the stuff he found and been done. You know, like he's always wanting more. He may kind of, part of him may say that he wants to be done or wants to just get out of there, wants to be free, but he's got that same urge for the treasure that, you know, we see in any pirate movie where Pirates of the Caribbean, they're taking the gold that makes them dead and things like that. It's like they always want the bigger one.
There's always a bigger fish, you know, just for pirates. In terms of him turning and helping the kids, I think the minute the kids are in danger from Brutus, you know, my co-host Klein's like biggest crush in the world right now. He just loves the way Brutus looks. It's confounding to me. I think once that happens, he's going to be like, no, that's my crew. And then it's going to be a battle of crews, and he's got a lightsaber, so he's going to slay, you know, it's going to be wicked awesome. But in terms of how we get to that point, I'm very intrigued about, and the whole at-atten of it all is still some sort of mystery I feel that needs to be unraveled. And I'm wondering, do you guys think we're going to find out more about Tak Rennod, aka like what he looks like, who he is, species, etc., or are they just going to keep that hidden because that's not something that actually matters to the series?
I was kind of all aboard the supervisor, the unnamed, unseen supervisor is going to be Tak Rennod. They're going to be one and the same. But I am, after this episode, I still think that I'm on that train, but I am kind of thinking maybe it just doesn't actually matter to the story, and that's just a legendary pirate used to inspire people. But if he truly found it and the ship was there, hidden, and he didn't want anybody else to find it, seems to me that he's the supervisor.
Yeah. Oh, he's
David,
dead.
what do you think?
I was gonna say it's the only way he would make more money. But I also like that's just, I have more questions about that place. Like, how are they, like, how and why, if they are making all this money, who's getting these credits in the end? Where are these credits going? And why are they still trapped like 50, 100 years, however long, 200 years it is in the past, right? Like, we have 2 episodes left with that on a whole, like with that as a whole. I'm very interested in just to see, like, because the Atten thing, maybe it is a planet in the end, guys. I don't know. I'm still holding out hope that it's not a real place. I'm still holding out hope that it's just like some moon or something, some spaceship. It's not a real, that's not a moon type of thing. I don't know. I don't think I can hold on to that ledge as long as I have been able to hold on to it. But the secrets about it, I wouldn't be surprised if he was a supervisor, because someone has to be.
Yeah.
My worry, and that's coming back to the amount of episodes and the length of the episodes, is I want to still know the full mystery of Atten, and I also want to know where the hell Jod came from. Like, I want to know where this, how he grew up with force sensitivity and where he got, how he became a pirate, etc. I would love to get like a quick flashback, and it's like, Hondo brings him to the life of piracy, something stupid like that. I'm going to hold out hope that we get a Hondo appearance until the very end. But it seems like there's a lot to unravel with only 2 episodes to go. And I have hope that it's going to be done properly, because I have really enjoyed this series so far. Not only that, but each individual one has had such incredible direction that I am confident that they'll be able to wrap up this story properly. But I am fearful that it'll get a bit of a Mandalorian season 3 of so many questions. Here's a fun fight scene, and we're not really going to answer any of them.
I think they have to be answered, though, because this was intended to be a movie.
Yeah.
This whole thing was intended to be a movie
true.
that they then turned into a show. So there was also a part of me when I'm watching this to be like, oh, what part, like, would this have made the movie type of thing? I don't know. When I find stuff about like movies and shows, like I always think about that in the back of my mind. So this has to come to like a conclusion. Things have to be answered. Like they weren't intending. I do not think this was intended to have a second season or anything. I know they're talking about possibly maybe doing something else within this type of story base going forward, but this wasn't intended as like a full season of television production. This was changed into it. So it has to lead somewhere. Like it has to conclude.
Carlos says there should be a jazz bar in Atten called Scat Scattin. That was a pretty good one.
Welcome to the Atten Drop Top. We're minting money. We're doing stuff. Bibbidi bop 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 bop.
That was pretty good.
Crop top.
TCR, what do you need out of the last 2 episodes?
I need a big chase. I just need one big pirate chase on Atten with like someone's chasing the kids, the robots are chasing the kids, and they're chasing the pirates, and then someone's chasing the pirates back. I just need like a big, ridiculous, this is stupid, but it makes sense, like dumbass chase in the sky. I think in terms of questions we have, I'm willing to bet this quarter right here in my hand that we're going to get to the supervisor's tower. We're going to meet the supervisor in some form or fashion. We haven't heard from the parents in a while, but I think next episode we end up on Atten. Like we're back to Atten in the final 2 episodes. We're going to have a point. We're going to build up to another thing. The Tak Rennod, like the big questions I have is Jod's past, which I think will take less than 5 minutes to fully get through. I don't even think we need a flashback personally. I think we just need a discussion. And then how are we getting these pirates off, and what is the future of Atten? For me, all the questions about Atten itself have been answered. It's an old Republic Mint, kind of like I was thinking. I was like, oh, it's the bank. No, it's even more high class than the bank. It's where they make the money. And then of course, how is Jod, Wim, specifically those two, how are they going to interact and come to an agreement? Because Wim is now obviously not trusting him. Like he even said this week, how do I always get the bad? Like, how do I always mistake who the good guy is? And so now he's going to be
adorable.
That was so cute.
He was so frustrated.
So those are really the only questions I have. And I feel like 2 episodes is plenty of time to kind of get those questions answered. So I guess I feel a little less of a hang up. It depends on how episode 7 ends. If they drop some more questions on us, then I'll be very pissed off. But that's really all I got. But again, I need that big chase. I just need something goofy and silly, but also kind of with some stakes in it, where you got too many players on the board. Let them chase each other and fight it out in the sky.
There's to me something there that needs to be explored with Jod and his force sensitivity, because it seems to me that nobody knows about it except the kids. It seems to me that none of these other beings, his crew, his ex-lovers who turn him in, his little owl cat friend, seems like none of them know he's force sensitive except for these kids. The kids are the only ones he revealed it to, because it seems like with the kids he could be like, oh no, they're lying, they're just kids, I tricked them, if it ever came up. And so I do still think he's hiding it for a very specific reason. And so I'm kind of waiting for, in these final 2 episodes, like a Kanan Jarrus moment of, kid, I'm about to let everyone in on the secret. And that's how he saves them, is he whips, like, they're in trouble and he sacrifices the treasure for the kids, and he uses the lightsaber to save them, and everybody figures out what he is. That's kind of how I'm thinking we're gonna get a conclusion here. But before we, we can theorize, but there is one part of this episode I still wanted to talk about, and that is the conclusion of it. The one part to me that I don't really understand was the exterior hull, like what actually just happened. Why do they have a brand new spanking ship inside of their other ship? What did SM-33 not want them to remove it? Was that just like their pirate colors? Was that what made it look like a pirate spaceship?
It's a big addition.
What?
It's a big addition.
But anyways, they just get rid of the exterior hull and they fly away from the trash compactor, and it's all fine and dandy. But I loved seeing all of their growth and skills in action here. Like Wim just going, I'm going back to my gun. Like, I'm going to blow it up. And Fern just fully taking on the leadership role. KB setting all the coordinates confidently, and Fern just looking at her with like, wow, this is impressive. Like, she's so proud of KB. Neel having the confidence to do what he needs to do with the throttle. You get to see all the growth they've had leading up to this moment. And I thought it was really cool. I didn't throw it to either one of you, so somebody just has to help me out here and answer.
No, I like, look, it's a cool thing. That part didn't bother me with them like leaving like the exterior hole, just because I'm like, yeah, it's a big space pirate ship. They're probably just adding a bunch of extensions and additions onto it to make it feel bigger and larger and more tanky than it ever needed to be. So the new ship is really not really a new ship. It's an old ship, but it's the part of the ship that hasn't, I don't know, been hit by an asteroid in a hot minute. So that part didn't bother me at all. But yeah, it was just, that was more what I was trying to get at that point.
And I'm excited. It did feel like it really set the stage to give us whatever's left. They, Jod has the coordinates to AT-AT, KB has the coordinates to AT-AT. We're getting to the destination we need to get to with 2 episodes remaining. I think they are setting the stage for the epic finale. I just hope they can resolve the AT-AT of it all, the Jod's history of it all in time, and the Captain Rennod of it all. I hope that these stories don't get too rushed for the finale is my ultimate hope. But they've done a great job of storytelling so far, so I don't think there's a reason. This is a different show than The Mandalorian. I don't think there's a reason for us to be too worried.
Do we think that the treasure of AT-AT is just AT-AT in itself?
Yeah. I do.
That's pretty in your face about that.
Yeah.
And
it's made for kids too, so it's not like a, well, what else could be there kind of thing. It's like, yeah, no, this is
an actual treasure.
That would be hilarious. They've just been melting like walls of caves and people dying in there, like Fern said at the beginning.
The universe's biggest kyber crystal inside the planet.
And that's how they make Starkiller Base. No, I think so on the ship thing, I actually
said the treasure was the journey. The treasure is the friends we made along the way.
Exactly. That's the best part about Skeleton Crew.
Jod is going to realize that the kids are the true treasure.
Now that is exactly the adorableness that I think that's you just won the theory game there, TJ. For the ship thing, the first time I watched it, all I could think was, I've seen that ship before. Where have I seen that ship? It's kind of like Kylo's ship at the beginning of Force Awakens, his command ship. But I feel like I've seen that exact ship somewhere else. I'm just not going to waste my time trying to search the thousands of ships that exist in Wikipedia and Star Wars. But I was listening to the intro because I always try to skip the previously on AT-AT or whatever, previously on Skeleton Crew. I always try to skip that. I don't want to know. I just want to ride the episode with it. But he actually mentioned that there's a belief that the ship was inside of another ship armored up with an extra hull to protect it. They mentioned I think maybe Jod mentions it, but it's while he's talking about this history of Tak Rennod. Smee, I believe it kind of comes up. So I think that's what it was. It was just an added hull and protection for the ship itself, and everything else was just kind of tied in electronically. And so that's why the ship still runs, is because it was protected pretty much the entire time by another just enclosure, if you will. So it's like the tumbler and the little speed bike thing that Batman does in The Dark Knight. It's just a ship inside another ship. It's shipception. The friendship part,
like a Russian doll situation.
Yes. I loved when they got on the ship and they're trying to figure out what to do and how to get out of the Dune spice hauler that they're being attacked by. And immediately KB is like, how do we start the ship? Oh, I think I know. You just do a couple of these, of that, and this, of that, doop-a-dop. And I'm like, okay, KB. And Fern's looking so proud. And then it's just like, I'll jump start the engine. You've already flown, you fly. And KB's calling all the shots because she's the one with the cybernetics, the brain. And then Fern's like, I'll steer, you hit the throttle. Because obviously Neel's like, I don't know. And then it's not working. And Wim's like, I'm going to go shoot this down. And they're like working perfectly as a crew. That is the point that I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. That is the point where I was just like, this is what I've been waiting for. These kids are coming into their own. This is the journey of self-discovery. And now they are a skeleton crew. They got 4 people manning this massive ship. And they're going to do it all together. And they have to work in perfect unity. And because they've almost died like 5 freaking times in this series, and they just had this like come together right now over me, down now moment in the episode that it just starts working. And it's like, we're not supposed to touch the button. And it's like, yeah, we're going to die either way. I wish they'd have said that, but they didn't need to. It's like, we're going to die if we don't hit the button. We're going to die if we hit the button. Who cares? They hit the thing and boom, they get out. And it's just like, that's
I
amazing.
wanted so badly for Wim to like jump, like tumble out of his gun and just like, while they're all considering it, him just run in and pop, button.
Just like Goku in Dragon Ball Abridged. Muffin button.
That's really what I was hoping for, but I thought it was just such a great conclusion to the episode with all of them working together. I couldn't agree more. Damon, any final thoughts on Skeleton Crew episode 6 or going forward?
No, I like that Fern was the one who pressed the button in the end because she is always the one that would always absolutely say no. We were told not to. We don't know what this does. And she's the one who literally had to go on a whim to press the button because it was you either press the button and maybe live or you don't press the button and you're totally dead and you're eaten by this trash monster thing on this island full of trash crabs too.
Oh, yeah, trash
like
crabs.
What a weird planet that thing is.
I forgot about Tamatoa.
This series is going to end with Jod having his Kanan moment, revealing the secret that he is Force sensitive because he is going to choose the kids as his treasure and his crew over the true treasure. And then because he made this selfless act, it's going to lead to the supervisor who was crooked was going to be kicked out of there. And they're going to go, hey, Jod, we need a new supervisor. Do you want to do it? And he's going to get the money he wanted all along because he made the right decision. That's what I think is going to happen. Andrew Haley in chat saying, hey, guys, Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Andrew. Happy New Year to all of our listeners. Thank you so much for tuning in live today. Or if you're tuning in after the fact, we still thank you. Hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell because we have great stuff coming for 2025. There's still a few more episodes of Skeleton Crew, a few more episodes of Creature Commandos that we're going to be breaking down. We'll be live on Thursday, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern time, talking Creature Commandos with myself, Damon, Fat Thor, Metalcore Nerds. And so very much looking forward to what we have coming in 2025. Subscribe, hit the like button, all of that good stuff. Anything else I'm missing, Damon? What's coming for Comic Corner?
I know we have an interview coming up soon. Very exciting, featuring a creator of a character who is in Marvel Rivals, and I will leave it as at that. We have a very exciting year coming up for comics, ladies and gentlemen. We have a brand new Ultimate book, Ultimate Wolverine, coming out this year, and that is wicked. It's essentially, TJ, what if Wolverine was the Winter Soldier?
Ooh, that is fun.
It's fun. It's wild. I cannot wait for that book. And a bunch of new Absolute books coming out too. So, guys, go to your local comic shop. Go pick up some comics. The first volume of the Ultimate Spider-Man book is out. And it's easily like the best Spider-Man book on the shelves. It's not even a question. So go check that out. And comics are fun, guys. Go read them.
TCR, where can the people find you on socials? What do you got coming on the Reckless Rebellion and all the other hats you have on?
You can find me everywhere at TC Rochester Act, TCRochesteract. And the Rebellion this week, we have Jenna Anderson coming on. Very excited to talk to her, the professor of comics. Next week, but I believe the finale, we have Caesar from Listen 3000 coming on.
Hey.
Next week is up in the air on who we're going to have. I have some ideas. I'm waiting for some answers. It's going to be a mystery.
I'm free.
Don't worry, you're on my list, big guy. And we are talking Skeleton Crew the same way. Come listen to Klein just completely thirst over Brutus. It's weird, but I just love how silly we are over there. So if you enjoy pure recklessness of a pirate rebellion crew, just come on over. Reckless Rebels on Twitter and Instagram. One extra S on the Instagram one there for Rebels. And we're everywhere podcasts can be found. I do have a question, Damon. Did you mention your Jod theory?
Yeah, I think, because my only question is this: why did he wait until now to take control over captaincy of the ship if he could have done it like within the second he got on that ship?
Because he didn't have the coordinates yet.
They could have gotten them. He didn't need to not be captain to get there. That's why I'm like, at one point, once when he finally
with the kids.
Yeah, like why did he?
Yeah. And he could have just taken control of SM-33 the whole time. That's
the whole time. That's why I'm like, that's why there's a part of me that's like, once when he finally realized that they're all in deep crap, he had to he kind of had to take control over that point, maybe to save them. That's why there's a little part of me in there.
Okay, I like it.
Hey, if I give myself up to my crew, the kids can get away. That kind of thing.
Yeah. Like he probably knew that they were. Oh, I think at one point he overheard that they were coming.
Yeah, he knew they were coming because he just he acided them.
Yeah,
there's a group on his tail, and he just killed them with acid. And the kids were like, "What?" But anyways, that is a good point. That is something I had not considered. So going into the last 2 episodes, stay tuned. We're going to be breaking it all down next week for Skeleton Crew. If I believe I got my scheduling correct, I'll have to double check, but I think we have 2 guests joining us for that one. We have TCR's Reckless Rebellion co-host Jack Pew joining us on for episode 7, and I believe Aaron Perrine from the Phase Hero podcast is going to be joining us for that one as well. So thank you so much to everyone who joined today. Hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on our future content. We will be back tomorrow for Creature Commandos, next week for more Skeleton Crew. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Follow us on socials at Agents Fandom on TikTok and Twitter, Agents of Fandom everywhere else, and check out agentsofandom.com for the latest and greatest in TV, movie, and gaming reviews and interviews. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you next time. Peace out.